Hello everyone. This is a bit of a spontaneous streaming here. So this is actually past midnight in the UK, and I'm just really fancy a little bit of stitching before bedtime. So this is what I'm doing, and if you fancy some stitching as well, then please join me. And if you're watching this in a more sociable hours, then welcome. So this piece I'm stitching today, it's a 14 count piece, which is quite kind of unusual for me because normally I do 25 counts, or I've have a couple of pieces about 22 counts. So it's quite refreshing to do a bit of larger stitches, and I really love this piece. So this is from Max Stitching, I think. I have no idea whether this is an established brand. I found this kit from Amazon. So this is a stitching kit, and it comes with all the flaws and charts, everything. So I've just started this piece, maybe, I'm trying to think, maybe 3 weeks ago, something like that. And I'm really loving it. So I'm stitching the second page right now. Let me show you my progress here. So with this piece, I'm actually starting from the center, and the reason I'm starting from the center is I want to get to the juicy bits first. With most of my pieces, I start from the upper left corners, and as you can see with this piece, it's full of sky, a lot of blue and some greens, and I just couldn't wait to get to the kitties, the little kitten in the middle. So I decided to start from the center. So, and I'm on the second page. So currently I'm actually on at the bottom of the kitty here, as you can see on the bottom right here, and then there's a fishbowl here. And the method I'm stitching is actually cross country, which I rarely do. So I'm doing a lot of very unusual things with this piece. I'm actually doing cross country within this page, and as you can see, I'm about, let me have a look, I'm about 87% finished. And with this piece, I want to show you something very quickly, and I'll start stitching. Is that instead of pattern keeper, which I normally use, I'm actually use this app called Markup RXP. And so this is actually a printed chart that I scanned in, and this app actually converted it into an interactive chart. You can do similar things to Pattern Keeper, not quite the same, but the strength of the app is actually converting to print, the print patterns, the legacy patterns that I have tons of. So so from here, you can tell it track all the stitches like Pattern Keepers would do, and I'm doing page by page. So it's a different way of stitching. I really love it. And also I'm doing color complete. Let me just pop this back. I'm doing color complete from the least number of stitches in terms of color, and then move to larger numbers. So let me just grab a charger here for my tablet. And I'm starting from, the app is allowing me to track my daily progress. So today I'm starting from 0, and I'm about 80% complete. So I'll try to fill up these areas a little bit more. So with that, I'm going to start. So to recap of this piece one more time, just in case I forgot, there's 14 counts, and I can't remember how many stitches. It's full cover. It's large, but not so large, not like heaven and earth pieces. They tend to be much larger, but it's reasonable size. And the floss comes with a kit. It's a full inclusive kits with charts and the floss. So I'm gonna just place the muck up here as a reminder, so you know while I'm stitching. So I'm going to start, and I'll talk from time to time. There might be times that I just go quiet. And if you hear with me, if you're joining me live, you're welcome to chat with me. Otherwise, I'm gonna just get on with it. So I'm going to just pick my thread here. I'm going to just zoom in a little bit so you can see better. I love late night or early morning stitching session. It's so tranquil. 161. There we go. So the floss that comes with the kit, I quite like it, but the texture is a little bit different from DMC. DMC floss, they've got more shine to the colors, and slightly smoother, silkier, I think. But it's quite refreshing to stitch with floss with different textures. I sometimes stitch with CXC as well, which is another brand. But they're all DMC compatible in terms of color charts. So I'm going to go from here. That's this one over here and down. Just want to make sure that I start from the right spot. And it's so nice to stitch with large stitches from time to time. It's such a palette cleanser, I think. If you, for the past couple of years, most of my projects are 25 counts and heaven and earth hay projects, and I got to the point that I felt slightly fatigued, so I just wanted to do something different. So I went back to 14 counts, which is how I started. 14 count kit that comes with floss and everything, and it's so refreshing. And the stitching experience is a little bit different. Let me just zoom that in a little bit. After years of stitching, well, not years, I'm exaggerating it, couple of years stitching pretty much exclusively 1/1 heaven and earth projects. So let me see if I can get this flow going. So, and I think particularly with 14 counts, you can really hear the fabric sound a lot better. You know, with 25 counts, it's kind of quiet. You can hear something, but I really enjoy this sound. Let me see, 2 stitches here. And you know, I've just started a channel really just a few weeks ago, and I remember last session, which was recorded session of stitching with Stitch With Me, I went on and on about how I wouldn't go, let me just see, I think I missed a couple of stitches here. I went on and on about how I wouldn't do cross country because of the bulk it builds up with the floss, because you have to carry threads a bit further, and how I, you know, just prefer parking, which I do. But lo and behold, as soon as I stopped, as I finished the recording, I was thinking, I really fancy a little bit of cross stitching. It's not cross stitching, cross country, which is no parking. You really just take your thread wherever it goes with the same color, and then move on to the next color or something like that. There are different ways of doing it. So I decided to do this project, at least at this point, cross country within a page. So I don't go crazy to go, you know, some people do like entire project. That's a bit too over the top for me. So I'm just doing within one page, and to be honest, it's not bad at all, because I thought the stitches are going to get so tight, and it would be, you know, quite difficult for you to put the needle through, which I don't enjoy. That was partially why I love parking, because, you know, you have some control over where the thread goes. But for 14 counts, I think the size of the stitches, the size of the stitches really matter, because 14, and also the fabric perhaps, it's it feels quite good. Let me just move it up a little bit so it's not at the bottom of the screen. So I'm new on this streaming thing, so I'm learning as I go. So in terms of setting up the angle of the camera, etc., I'm sure it will improve with time. Let me just have a look. And you're welcome to chime in and stitch with me if you know, grab a project. I don't know anyone in real life, as in away from the camera, that stitch that I know of. I never asked, but no one ever talked about it, and I don't particularly talk about it, so maybe that's why. I don't know, it's just not something that comes up, so I don't know anybody actually stitches. So when I stitch, I watch a lot of Stitch With Me, a lot of Floss Tube, and it brings me a lot of joy. And it's great to watch how someone else stitch. Sometimes it can be so different from you, and you get to learn new techniques and new ways of doing things. It's just fascinating. So this bit, oh, I could have taken it down a little bit here. Hang on. Let me just mark these stitches so I don't lose track. And one of these days I really want to talk about the differences between a pattern keeper, which is probably the most popular. Let me just zoom in that a little bit more. Most popular tracking app. I mean, not that we have that many to choose from, but I'm just grateful something like Pattern Keeper exists. But then there are projects that's very hard to do with Pattern Keeper because it's got scanning ability but very limited. I tried it with print patterns, you know, I tried to scan in a print pattern. It can do some sort of scanning, but it's very limited, very basic. So that's when the markup XP come in. The user interface isn't that great comparing to markup XP, sort of Pattern Keeper, but it is quite remarkable in terms of how it's able to recognize symbols and charts. If you have printed patterns. So prior to Pattern Keeper, I used to scan my paper patterns. I'm really a digital person. I will use apps such as Goodreader. I think it's only available on iOS, and I'll just use highlighter, the digital highlighter, to mark each stitch and do it that way. I'm not really a paper person, so I'm really grateful to find something like Markup XP. The interface needs some improvement still, but you know, I can work with it. And I would like to maybe do a session just talking about these two apps, because not many people know and also have tried Markup XP, Markup RXP, I think. It's kind of an odd name. I can never remember or get it correct. There's one stitch here. Let me see. I think I missed one stitch here. Hang on. Here we go. There's one more here. Let me mark these ones before I forget. I just don't know, with full coverage pieces, I just find it quite incredible if you're able to just use paper charts. That's pretty hardcore, I think, because you can't mark and unmark, you can do or undo, you can't zoom in. All the things we take for granted when we're interacting with, let me get one more here. When we interact with information, you know, whether it's images or text, etc., we're just so used to being able to just manipulate it and make it work for us, and zoom in and out, turn it around, etc. So let's have a look. Let me see if there's any more around here. And also the highlighting, you know, the search function is such a godsend. I just don't know how anybody, well, I'm sure that they probably can, someone can kind of just search around with every single stitch, every single color. You have to search around and spot them. It's probably quite good as a training for your eyes, but you know, it's okay with samplers or smaller pieces, but when it's so big, it's just it becomes extremely challenging. Good. Let me just place this one here. Let me zoom it out a little bit. Let me see if there are any more stitches of this color. Yes, I just found some. See, that's the beauty of the apps. It highlights it immediately, instantly. You can't miss it. I really love this piece. It's so whimsical. Most of my projects have something to do with space, as in a room that has a lot of objects. Just something about that just warms my heart. It just makes me want to stitch, because each piece that you're stitching, you get transported into that world, that space, and those colors. You know, that keeps you going, because otherwise full coverage pieces are so can be quite daunting. Let me just have it here. And with each session, it always feels a little bit, you need to warm up. It's just like yoga, just like exercise. You need to warm up with the first few stitches, and as you do it, you start to kind of have a flow to it. So the few stitches will be a bit slower, maybe a little bit awkward, and I make mistakes most of the time in the first few stitches, but then, you know, you kind of warmed up, and then it gets a bit more fluid. And I love this way of stitching, you know, cross country within the page, because now you can kind of see the shape forming. But for weeks, days and weeks, I didn't know what I was stitching, and I tried not to look at the markup. I want the surprises. So, and gradually start to form a picture, and it's so much fun. So, let me see. Let me mark these ones. Okay. And now I'm gonna end this. Let me just pick a color that's similar. And I've got a nice cup of tea with me. Let me just have a sip. Peppermint tea. There's one lone stitch over here. Have a look. Let me see. When I first discovered people doing 25 count stitches, or 28, some people, as hardcore people, and I was so stunned. I didn't know people. Well, I had a couple pieces. There's kind of a semi full coverage prior to that. And they weren't very big, so it was kind of okay. But when I discovered people actually stitch, I'm trying to find a place I can end my thread here. When I discovered people doing tiny stitches with one strand of floss, I was floored. I was so stunned. I thought, well, you can't see those stitches. How do you manage to see the stitches? And so I kind of dismissed, well, I didn't dismiss it. I just felt that there's no chance that I'll be able to do it. And then it started to haunt me, the idea of it. And to the point that I had to try it. And it took some getting used to, because the fabric, the grid, individual stitches are so small. In the beginning, I really had trouble looking at stitches. And then I realized a lot of that is kind of you training your eyes to look at things that way. Let me just place this back. 1, 6. I've got some left, so I'm going to just tuck it in. And my next victim is I want to complete this fishbowl here. Let me just I keep saying that, but it's at the bottom of the screen. I would like to complete this fishbowl here, which is so cute. Let me see. So $7.99. $7.99. I've got one threaded already. Yay! I feel like you're cheating the system by something that's threaded already. I enjoy threading. I find it quite relaxing, because when you're doing parking method, you thread and a lot. So I quite enjoy that. It's not for everybody. Some people dread it. Dread threading. I find it relaxing. Here we go. Let me have a look. And I love the color scheme of this piece. It's so vibrant and colorful. Some pieces are beautiful, but it's pretty much just a gradient of the same color. It's like there's some landscape or forest or something that's the same colors throughout, acres of sky. I'm sure it's quite beautiful when it's stitched, but I'm realistic. I just know that I'll get so fatigued and bored of the same color if I let me see, just make sure the autofocus doesn't go crazy. So let me see, that one done, on to the next one here, because the autofocus is so sensitive. If I put my hand over, sometimes it just goes, it switches focus there. I'm learning. Let's have a look. So 2 here. I love the sound of the stitches, the fabric, you know, thread going through fabric. Why is this so therapeutic? I don't know. I know for a fact there are videos out there, the people listening to fabric sounds, they probably don't stitch themselves. They just like the sound of it. How interesting. Why is this so therapeutic and so soothing? I wonder. I find it soothing. You know, it's like listen to the sound of the rain falling. I mean, if you ask most people, well, they probably don't like rainy days. They dread rainy days, but the sound of the rain is actually quite therapeutic, which is very interesting. The sound of fireplace as well, you know, the burning of the wood, the log. I think it just reminds us about something really tranquil, really basic, the simplicity of life. And I think the fabric sound might be in that category. You know, it's not mechanic, there's no machine involved. It's really just a needle going through something that's quite organic. I think fabric is a pretty organic thing, and our senses find comfort in that, I think. And if you're stitching with this video as well, if you're watching later, let me know what you're stitching on. I'm so curious about other people's projects, because sometimes when you're let me just move it over there, here a little bit. Sometimes when you're stitching, you feel like you're the only person in the world that's stitching. Two, three, four. One more here. And I actually, yes, I was talking about the full coverage, my discovery of full coverage for like heaven and earth projects. You know, in the beginning I was watching YouTube and tube floss, and everybody's going Hade, Hade. And I was thinking, what is Hade? Why is everybody saying Hade? And they all have massive, massive projects there. And then I had to do some research. It was a rabbit hole, massive rabbit hole. I went down and realized this heaven and earth design, the holy grail of full coverage. And I fall into that rabbit hole big time. It was in the middle of lockdown, and I felt like I discovered a dimension I didn't know existed, and just felt head over heel. Hello, auto tuning, autofocus. You're being too sharp and sensitive. So it was yeah, it was a rabbit hole that I fell in, and started buying patterns, because up to that point I was doing kits like this. You know, this is quite a big project for me, but heaven and earth projects, they're massive. Let me just zoom out a little bit. See, and I never bought floss individually before. I have some DMC, just happened to be there. I did other type of embroidery. I had a small stash, but I never kind of buy them. I always thought if you do cross stitching, you just buy a kit and then you do that. Little did I know there was a world out there. Let me just pull another thread here. $7.99. I did get the color right. $7.99. I've got 27 stitches of this color on this page. So and I started to look into the patterns. They all look so complex and have so many threads and colors involved, but my mind was made up. I had to do it. I had to do it. And it was in the middle of pandemic, a lockdown. I was looking for some sort of escape from the daily news. I stopped watching news altogether, which was a great thing. Very wise choice, I think. Very wise decision. So I just stopped watching news about the lockdown and just started to do things that actually made me happy. And in a way, I wanted something that would pretty much consume my attention. You know, I kind of wanted a rabbit hole to dive in voluntarily. Let me just anchor a thread there so I can bring this thread over here. And it was a perfect rabbit hole. And I started buying patterns, and then obviously I needed floss as well. And I became so ambitious. I decided if I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it big. I didn't go crazy enough to go for max, like super size, but I went for max color. So the first piece I got involved, I think, 260 something colors. I'll show you another day. It was mad. I was thinking, what am I doing? What if I what if I started here? Because I realized I needed to buy an entire set of DMC floss. And since when one needs an entire set of DMC floss, really? Because you could buy individually. I thought about that, but then the tedious process of picking out the colors, just, you know, buying those colors from the vendor probably turned out not much cheaper, to be honest. So I decided to take the plunge. And, well, actually, in the beginning, I thought, well, I don't know if I like, you know, projects like this. I had no idea. So but I needed like a whole set of colors, so I don't have to constantly have to buy floss. And that's why I decided to buy DMC floss to start with. And depends on where you're watching this from. If you don't know not DMC, the CXC floss, I don't know where they're made in. Possibly China. I'm not too sure. I have to check. But they are DMC compatible, meaning that the color chart is the same. They're interchangeable. And but so much cheaper, because in Europe, in the UK, DMC is expensive. You know, my jaw frequently drops when I watch American floss tube, when they have like stash, like bags and crates of DMC floss. I watch with envy, because in the UK, and I believe in Europe in general, it's many times more expensive. So I think a scan of DMC floss typically is close to £2. So £2, I don't know, about dollars, probably about, I don't know, double that. I don't know about the exchange rate today, but you know, so imagine if you have to, let me just mark these before I lose track. 7 over there. Okay, I know where I am now. To buy the whole set, I think if you just buy the floss without the new colors, meaning it's from 150 onwards, number 50, I mean, it's about £400, the whole set. And if you add in the new colors, man, we're talking about, you know, 450 onwards. And that's pretty crazy if it's just a hobby that you do from time to time. And at that time, I didn't know how long this obsession is going to last. I thought maybe I start having a nurse project and I hate it, and all the floss would be wasted. I really couldn't justify that in my mind. So I decided to go for CXC. I would still have the full set of floss, but it was under £50. So you do the math, 50 comparing to 400 pounds. I know which one I'll go for if I wasn't sure. So let me just have a look. Oh, I think I'm probably... Oh dear. Yeah, I think I misstitched this one. See, that's a problem with talking. And oh no, I was okay. No, I was confused. I'm okay. Good. All good. I thought I missed something. Let me see. Where was I? Here. Yeah. So zoom in a little bit. I like you to be able to see the stitches, because I really enjoy seeing the texture of the stitches, and you get to appreciate how untidy my stitches are. I know some people very particular about the tidiness of the stitches of the thread, particularly in 14 counts. They kind of railroad or whatever techniques they use. I'm okay with that. Let me see. Have I missed anything here? Let me just double check. Very nice. That one, good. And my thread here. Yeah, so I went for CXC and I was very happy with it. So I started my first attempt for Heaven and Earth project with CXC. Lovely. Oh, the fishbowl, so cute. Now, let's see. And let me see which one I should go for next. I think number 4 might be nice. Let me fill in this bit. Let me have a look. Yes, I know which one I'm going for. Good. $3.40. That's the one. Got one threaded already. Yay! Ooh. And it's quite long as well. Good. It's a beautiful color. So, oh, I love late night, early morning stitching. I feel so peaceful. So peaceful. Let me just zoom that out a little bit. I think the auto tuning autofocus is working too well, because some cameras the autofocus is terrible. This one's too sensitive, a little bit too good. Let me see. that one. So I find really fun about this way of stitching, meaning cross country within a page, which, you know, a page is a kind of a manageable area. I know some people do an entire project, which is crazy. I think if that's you, you're crazy. I've seen a lady who basically go do color complete of a massive project. The project is as big as a blanket, and she starts with one color, like black, I remember, and literally she just went through, well, her goal was to go through an entire project just stitching that color first, however long it takes, maybe years, and move on to the next color. And I was thinking, well, how many mistakes you're gonna make? If it was me, it would probably from beginning to the end. So let me see if I got this one correctly. Okay, it's this way, I think. Yes. But within one page is quite doable, I think. And you still have that cross-country feeling, you know, that freedom moving around. That one over there. So it's quite a nice change from parking, really. It's all about variety. It's all about variety. You know, if you do one thing the same way for too long, you're gonna feel fatigue. At least I do. I get bored easily. So I need to constantly find different ways of doing things to freshen it up. So 14 counts stitching this way, no parking, is kind of a palette cleanser. It's like the sorbets you have between courses, or whatever green fruit juice they get you to drink in between. And let me see, let me move down here. And then you miss 25 counts, or shall I say I miss 25 counts. If I do 14 counts for a couple of days, I'll pick up my Heaven and Earth projects and start with 25 counts again. And it feels fresh. It feels fresh when I do it this way. And also, you probably realize that I cycle through a lot of different projects. You know, I'm not one of those people who can just stick with one and till the end of the earth. No, far from it. And sometimes I cycle through multiple projects a day. I think most days, you know, occasionally I stick with one for like an entire day or entire session, but I'll, you know, move from one to the other. So you get to enjoy different fabric, different color scheme, different fabric counts. And that's fun. That's fun. Okay, now I'm gonna take it over here. It really takes some courage for me because I don't normally want to take threads over stitch area. So with cross country, you do have to do that from time to time, but I try to keep it minimal. And that's part of the fun because I get to kind of have a strategy and plans. Depends on the pattern. And I have to think on my feet. So I can minimize having threads floating on top of the stitch area. It's about having rules and structure, well, the way of stitching. It makes it fun and challenging. Otherwise, projects like this oh, excuse me, I just coughed. Tickly throat. Just a sip of water. It's all live, all live. So, these two over here. Let's have a look. I'm taking shape. So this is kind of a water feature, like a water fountain. Not water fountain, bird fountain, whatever you call it. And so you can refer to the mock-up there. Oh, it's this thing. Let's have a look. Yes, it's a water fountain. You can see outside the window. Just above the kitty there. That's where I am. So pretty. Next color. Oh, I've got a couple of stitches more here. Hang on, I'm sticking with it. I'm still here with this beautiful purple. Yes, I've got a few more stitches here. So 340. So I'm taking 2 strands rather than having 1 strand and folding in half, because I want to have a longer piece. So with this I can't use the loop start, which I love. Everybody loves loop start. But I don't have to change thread that as frequently. I've got a few more stitches here. Let's have a look. Oh dear. Oh, let me just pull that thread down. Oops. Let's free that needle here. That's okay. Let's have a look. Let's have a look. Move it up a little bit. Most of my projects have images of a lot of things on them in the design, so it keeps it interesting because you just have different objects and things emerging, and you have different colors. So I love sort of whimsical themes. And I don't know whether you've heard of Gecko Rouge. I think it's a British company. They do kits, cross-stitching kits, but kind of luxurious version of cross-stitching kit, if I could put it that way. They are kind of modern pieces, and I have a massive piece from them. I'll show you another day. It's huge. It's huge. But their pieces, the images, their designs are very interesting. It's not the classic, you know, Christmas or whatever. I'm sure they have Christmas theme as well, but I think they classify themselves as modern design. Yeah, that's kind of their definition. But they have design that I would never dream of stitching, because there's nothing whimsical about it, if I could put it that way. Some of them are paintings, like classical paintings, for instance. But oh, I lost my way. Where am I? Here. Okay, got it. They have themes that is just I don't know, like posters of horror movies and stuff like that. I mean, I'm sure it's quite interesting when it's finished, and if you like that kind of thing, you could probably want to hang out on the wall. But I don't know. I mean, yeah, I think we're so individual when it comes to project choices. It's just not something like I can imagine myself spending years stitching, you know. I don't know. Jack the Ripper. I'm just making it up now. I think they've got some themes that are very unconventional. Some people probably love it. Let me put this down here. Yeah, the focus, autofocus is a little bit better and less sensitive when I zoom out a little bit. When I zoom it really close, it just goes crazy. So let's see. There we go, moving down. And this way of stitching, you also see where the color goes, where it flows, and you have to have a kind of a strategy in terms of how you want to, or where you want to take your thread to different directions, and it makes it fun. It's almost like a puzzle you have to solve constantly. You have to make judgment calls, and it's never boring. Let me take it back here. A lot of times when you're just focusing on the color, the stitches, how many stitches and where they are distributed, and lo and behold, you see the image, the design forming. You know, because when you're focusing on stitches, you're very zoomed in with your vision, your view, and when you stop for a moment, you suddenly realize that it's a image happening there. It's quite rewarding. I love the way this fabric and the floss stitches, it's just so, I don't know, really tangible, because with 25 counts sometimes it feels like the stitches are very small with one strand. There is a little bit less of that kind of a tactile, I can't imagine, I can't describe it. This is a lot more meaty, if I could put it that way. 25 counts I enjoy too, absolutely, but it's a very different stitching experience. The needles are a lot easier to get through the fabric, so it's kind of, it's very different. If you've done both, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But if I do 14 counts all the time, I'm sure I'll go, well, actually 25 counts is so much more interesting. So fickle. Let me see. I have to check constantly to make sure that I haven't gone off track. 5 here, 1 more here. Let me just move it forward a little bit. Let me put this through over here and there. good. So excuse me. And oh yes, one thing I forgot to mention. 340, hang on. One thing about this piece I haven't mentioned is the fact that it's got what is it called? Stitches, back stitches around the image as well. Let me just pull that up. So all this, most objects on the design has some sort of back stitches around them. So this is another thing I'm really looking forward to do. I think what I'm going to do, because there's another page next to it has been completed, and once I complete this page, I'm going to start back stitches. There's no way I'm gonna wait till the end of the project. It will take 10 years. And I'm really looking forward to the back stitching. I think it'll be really fun to do, because Heaven and Earth design, none of them have back stitches as far as I know. Oh, I've got a frog in my throat. Let me just have a sip of the water. And the more you think, don't cough, you cough more. So I'm going to stop thinking that. So I'm going to start back stitching. Oh, I can't wait. It'd be so pretty to have back stitches around the kitty as well. Right, next. I'm going to go for darker colors. Let's have a look. 310. It's black pretty much. So, apologies. So with this, quickly checking 87 stitches. I don't know how long I've been stitching. Maybe around just about an hour, which is not super speedy. I think in the beginning when I started to cover the page, it was so fast. I was stitching about 3 times faster than I would with parking method, but as it starts to fill up, it will get a little bit slower because you need to switch colors probably a little bit more because the stitches are in different locations. And let me just bring that back up. They're in different locations, so you can just take the thread over to different locations. Some people do perhaps, but I can't. I just don't want that much that many floating thread at the back. I know no one's looking at the back, but I can see it. So with these stitches, if they are the same colors, literally I would do one group first, end the thread, and then move on to another one. I just feel better that way. So it's all about feeling good. So here we go. So I have few stitches over here. So what I learned about stitching is it's so individual. It's you know, I do a lot of yoga, and I think it's okay to tell you that I teach yoga. So, and what I learn about teaching people with different body types, different fitness levels, different ages, is that everyone is so individual. Even people in the same age group have completely different body and flexibility. So it's a bit like stitching. It's so individual. The way you stitch and your approach probably is a reflection of your personality. It absolutely is. Absolutely is, because there are different choices you have to make, judgment calls, the type of design that you go for is so individual. And I think in the early stages I felt like I have to do like someone else does, because otherwise it's wrong. And I realized there's no right or wrong. If you enjoy it, it's right. It really is that simple. And it frees you up from, you know, having to learn the quote-unquote right way of doing things. Otherwise, you know, it's a disaster. There's just no such things. I mean, it's between you and your stitches. You do whatever you want. If you want to stitch an entire project starting from with one color for 3 years till you complete that color, and then move on to the next one, and that's your thing. You do you. And that's why it's so fascinating about finding out how other people stitch, because you're constantly surprised. So just make sure I haven't lost track with my stitches. Good. Oh, you can see the definition of the bowl. The fish bowl, so cute. Oh my god, I love this piece. Right. And I'm going to end my thread here. Let me have a look. And then moving on to over here. Just move it up a little bit. Maybe zoom in just a tiny bit. I remember in the beginning when I started doing full coverage, I was obsessed with learning different ways of starting and ending threads. And that's one of the things you learn from watching people stitching as well. You know, just when you think you know all the methods that's possible to start and end threads, and lo and behold, there'll be another person doing it in a way you've never seen before. And I learn from them. You know, when the stitching is flowing, you just don't want to stop. I know it's probably sensible to go to bed. I don't want to. I really don't want to. I want to keep stitching. Feels so good. And I'm really grateful stitching is not like piano, you know. If you wouldn't be able to practice piano late at night, like no one's business. Or even sewing. I remember I was really into sewing stuff, making stuff for a while. And, you know, sometimes you fancy doing something late at night when you're free, have time to, but you can't sew late at night because of the noise. So I'm glad stitching is nice and quiet. You can listen to the fabric sound, it's so soothing and doesn't disturb anybody. Here we go. One stitch here, and let me just move it up a little bit. Let me have a look. Let's see. Just fixing my chart here. Make sure everything is being marked. Okay. Where am I here? I haven't looked at having another site for a little while now. I was too scared that I'll fall in love with another design and have to start a new project. And I haven't told you how many ongoing projects I have. Oh, I hope you have enough fingers and toes to count. I haven't. So I try to refrain myself from looking at the site. Only from time to time, have a little peek and run. So I don't end up starting new projects. Not that that works at all. Because what happened was when I first discovered Heaven and Earth, I bought quite a few patterns. And I've only managed to start a few of them. And there's still quite a few patterns that I could potentially start. So the danger is still there. I'm not safe from starting new projects. And I'm fully aware the majority of them I probably never see the end of it. Who knows? Because I start new ones and but I try to keep all of them going. I try to cycle through majority of them. I think pretty much all of them. I haven't given up on any of them. Why would I? You know, I know they would take years and years and years to finish, if I finish any pieces at all. But I've come to terms. That's part of the full coverage experience, I think. You arrive at Zen. You just know that it's not about finishing pieces. It's a nice goal. It's that elusive goal. You know, like you're looking up at the moon. You know it's there. You want to go there. You want to fly toward the moon. But you know you probably never get there. And that's okay. You know, it doesn't stop you from wanting to reach the moon and stars. But it's okay if you never get there. It's that process, it's the every stitch that you make is the experience of stitching that counts for me. So, and also, the, you know, you have milestones, mini milestones. For instance, in this case, it's a single page. When I finish the page, I can see the image that emerges from underneath. It's rewarding. In a way, it's a form of finishing for me. A milestone. And then the milestone could be, I don't know, 2 blocks or even 1 block. You know, some people stitch block by block. I like to do that with different parking methods as well. So each block is a completion. And that's nice. That's rewarding. That's extremely rewarding. Let's have a look. That's the whole block here. Let's have a look. I'm really happy that this bit is being filled up. Let's see. Okay, so that's done. One more stitch here. This is like little kitty's legs. new legs. Good. Let's have a look. Let me mark the stitches on my app. Very nice. Let's see. Two stitches of this color up here. Let me just do those as well. Here we go. I love stitching with darker colors on a piece because it creates a lot of definition. I mean, it depends on the design, but you can see that you can see the definition of the fishbowl a little bit more. Good. Oh my god, 123 stitches. Yay, not bad. Let me just do a few more stitches before I retire to my bed. Yeah, I don't really want to stop, if I'm honest. Too much coffee today, but you know, I don't have early start tomorrow, so I can get away with it. Let's see. Let's go for a few more stitches. 3, 10. Let's have a look. Let's go for this one then. Good. Oh, beautiful turquoise. Oh my god, yes. Yes, please. 964. Oh, look at this color, so pretty. Such a beautiful color. Glorious. Let's see. Let's take this thread out. This is probably one of my favorite colors, turquoise. I just get excited when I look at this beautiful blue. Greenish, slightly greenish blue. So pretty. Let's have a look. Let's get it organized. Because the thread, my thread is cut to be folded in two rather than doing this way. But it works better, longer. So here we go. Oh, beautiful blue. Let's start from here. I'll go from left to right then. Let me just be sure it's in focus. Yeah, this is why I like pieces got different colors, you know, not just different shades, but different color. Oh, stuck. Hang on. What is happening? Here we go. Let's start again. Stuck for some reason. So the thread from this kit, I find I like the way it stitches, but sometimes it gets snagged, maybe more than DMC definitely, and maybe more than CXC as well. I don't know why that is. It's just the texture of the floss. It's a bit it's not as silky. It's not as a criticism because it's got different kind of color tones. It makes everything a little bit more pastel. It's got that general tone to it. DMC's quite glossy. Quite glossy. Sometimes it feels a bit too much shine for me. Depends on the pieces. But DMC is very smooth to stitch. You rarely get threads kind of just stuck there. Even if sometimes it creates a knot in between, you know, for whatever reason, it's very easy to kind of undo the knots, whereas this one literally just gets snagged into the fabric. Oh, I couldn't free it. But it also provides a different stitching experience, so I'm happy with that. Let me see. Okay, so these ones are here. Let me just take the thread over here, because I don't want to take it too far. I'm not that brave. I want to find the stitches to be kind of close by, otherwise I'll end the thread. But this is kind of doable. Let's have a look here. Such a pretty color. I really love it. Okay. More stitches before you forget. Let me just make sure. There. Okay. Oh, hang on. 2. That's interesting. Okay, I probably got this one incorrectly. Let me have a look. 2 down here. 1 over here. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. I'm good. I'm good. I thought I got the wrong stitches. And sometimes if it doesn't really look that different, you know, it's not gonna make that much difference, I just let it be. Unless it's just totally different color, it's gonna affect how it looks, then I'll fix it. But most of the times you probably can't tell, even if I make mistakes here and there, or you know, stitch the wrong colors. Let me just have a look. Let me just double check here. Okay. You see the fishbowl, goldfish bowl is taking shape. Okay, this one I need to take a deep breath because I'm going to take it slightly further. So what I normally do, if I have to take it over 3 stitches, you know, stitch area, I have a cheat. So technically I should jump over to this one. Let me zoom in a little bit. So it's a secret I want to share with you. So from this stitch over there, I need to jump about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stitches, which is big jump to take the thread over there to the position where my needle is. And I normally start to hyperventilate if I have to do that, and I'll battle within myself to try to decide whether I should end my thread. But because I've got some open space here that's unstitched, so what I'm going to do is to actually do a pin stitch. I think this one already has a pin stitch there, so, but I'm gonna maybe use this one. So what I'm doing is anchor my thread somewhere a little bit nearer within the unstitched area in between, so I have less floating thread at the back, if that makes sense. It's not ideal, so now I can take the thread over there. I'm feeling less panicky because I anchor one stitch over there, if that makes sense. And I do that from time to time. You generally don't have to do that if you're doing parking top down or diagonal, but with this kind of stitching, or if you kind of try to color complete a certain area, this is necessary sometimes, at least for me, so I don't start to have sort of panic attack thinking the floating thread underneath just laughing at me. So I'm okay with this one. And it's a dangerous world. Stitching is a dangerous sport, I tell you. And I'll show you the back of the work at some point. I don't want to flip it over just yet. Beautiful, beautiful color. And I think there are a couple of stitches left here, around here, with the same color. So I'm gonna just oh, they're quite far apart, so I'm going to do one at a time. I'm totally okay with that. One stitch here. I mean, starting and ending thread is not that bad actually. It's like threading needles. Once you kind of accept that's what it is and you have a good method, it's not a problem. So it allows you to stitch a bit more freely without having to worry about having to start ending thread. That one is not super pretty, but I'm okay with that. So I embrace the imperfection. So it's my way. It's my way of stitching. There's one stitch there. And then there are a couple of them underneath. I can probably take the thread over without having a heart attack. I think these ones should be okay. To take the thread over. I'm so enjoying this session. It just feels like, it just feels peaceful. Oh, hello, Nikki Stitchy. Hello, sorry, I missed. I didn't look at the chat window. So Nikki says, I love you talking Stitch with me. How much did you get done with this project? Oh, good question, Nikki. Hang on, I'm going to show you in a bit. Let me just anchor this stitch here. Oh, I'm so happy that you're joining me. Let me have a look. Let me just get this stitch down before I lose my way, and I'll show you how far I've gone. So Nikki, if you don't mind telling me what time zone you're in now, because I'm in the UK, this is early morning, and here's one crazy stitcher stitching away here. Hang on, let me just do this one over here. Good. Let me just put this needle through here for now. Okay, so I'm going to show you my progress with my app. So I'm using this app I showed slightly earlier on. This is my markup. What is it called? Markup RXP. And oh, Arizona! Oh my God, 9 p.m. Very, very civilized hours for stitching, unlike me. So and let me know if you're stitching right now as well. So I'm going to show you. Let me just zoom out a little bit so you don't go blind. Yes, so let me go to info. So today's session, I've got 139 stitches in, and overall I'm about 7.23% complete, and that's the total stitches. I can't even count. You get the number there. So it's a lot. It's a lot. So so about 7.23, which is about near completion of 2 pages. So I can't remember how many pages there. I think I can't remember, quite a few. So 2 pages gets me 7.23. And this is the amount I need to do here. And so there you go. So that's my progression here. So I set my daily target to be 300. Not gonna achieve that today, but I'm okay with that. I miss most days, so let me just tell you that. So so that's my progression for this project. And as I said in the beginning, this is a printed pattern I have. I did the scanning with a camera scan, like a still picture, and put it through the system, and it generates an interactive chart for me. So that's, you know, I'm so happy to be able to do this with printed like paper charts, which I have a lot of them. So let me just put my app back. Yeah, I'd love to know what you're working on, Nikki Stitchy. Let me have a look. So Nikki says, I'm stitching, and so I missed some of your session, but I rewatched it. Yes, that's a lot of stitches. Yes, I know. It's like every single project just gets crazy with each project. And hopefully in the next couple of sessions, I'll get to show you literally my biggest project. I'm talking bigger than most. No spoiler, but I'll show you my biggest project very soon, and it's huge, and I probably need about 9 lifetimes like cats to finish it, but I'm okay with it. I'm enjoying it, and it's a beautiful design. So Nikki says, that's a neat feature for markup. I have it, but I haven't utilized it much. Oh, you have it. I'm working on an Abraham Hunter. God shed his grace on thee. That sounds magnificent. I'd love to see it. I'll do a Google to see what it looks like later on. I'm very curious. And yeah, so you have the app, but you know, when it comes to digital patterns, then I'll definitely recommend Pattern Keeper, because it's just a lot more responsive and better interface, user friendliness. But if you have paper charts, definitely give it a go. Yeah, we need more lifetime. Absolutely. Yeah, I don't know who came up with this full coverage. I think it's designed by, I don't know who invented it, but I have issues because they're so just all consuming. So let me have a look. Where am I? Yes. So if you have paper patterns, I don't know whether you do or not, that you would like to turn into digital patterns, then definitely use markup feature. I think it's very good with recognizing there is some manual process you have to do, like you have to put in colors individually. But if you have a large project, you really only do it once, you know, in terms of putting colors in there. But it's worth it, because once it's done, the process is a lot easier. Let me have a look here. Okay, I've got that one. Ooh, okay, need to do this one. Yes, I've got these ones done, and I haven't figured out how to feed in my tablet onto the screen, because I love to be able to show you how I mark the stitches as well. Once I've figured out how to do it, as I'm a bit of a newbie with streaming process, once I've done that, once I've figured it out, I'll love to do live sessions with Pattern Keeper and also markup apps, XP, at the same time, so you're able to see how it's all marked up. And I think it's useful, particularly if I'm doing parking, because a lot of people confuse about how to park, where to park. It's not so much an issue when you do cross country, but it's still interesting to see, because I'm saying that because I love watching people marking up their projects. So I'm gonna finish these ones. I'll probably finish the session. I don't know how long I've been stitching, probably nearly 2 hours. It doesn't seem like it. It's gone so fast. That's why we need more time, really, just like Nikki says. We need more lifetimes. I can do with 3 more, please. And where can I get it? Can I order it from Amazon? So I'm gonna do these last few stitches here. And I wish it was 9 p.m. over here, but unfortunately this is early morning in the UK. And but stitching at night is so peaceful when everything's done. And let me just do these ones. I hope you can see it. Let me zoom in a little bit more at the bottom corner here. So this camera, if I zoom too close, the auto focus starts to go crazy. So I need to find a way, a happy balance here. And I hope you're enjoying your stitching as well, Nikki. I think you're probably my first subscriber, so I definitely remember you. It's special. Last few here. And I'm so happy to finish the session with this beautiful color. Colour fluff there. And 2 more to go. And I'll show you my total number of stitches. I mean, it's how great it is to be able to track, you know, the number of stitches. If it's so, you have the sense of completion and progression. That is so important when you're working on a big project. I know some people do it manually, they have a notebook. I'm not a paper person. I haven't got anything paper for a long time, since tablets came out. So I rely on apps a lot. Okay, last bit. I'm gonna end the thread here. Good. Now let me zoom out slightly and move it down so you know what the page is like. So page 2, let me just move this away. So it's page 2 here, and it's the center bit. Let me just show you the markup again, where the kitten is at the center, and the fishbowl next to the little cat. I know, that's sweet, isn't it? Oh, thank you, Nikki. Thank you, Nikki. I mean, it's so great to have someone watching live as well. I totally didn't expect anybody, considering I've got single-digit subscribers. But it's so great to have you with for this session live, and yeah, definitely. So I'm really looking forward to complete this page here. And I don't know whether you heard that, Nikki, before, earlier on. When I finish this piece, which is very soon, this page, I'm going to do the back stitching for the design as well. So yeah, so I'm really looking forward to that, and I hope you're able to join me as well, or watch playback. And just before I go, I'm going to show you the app again. So I'm going to show you the total stitches I've done today. So this app has got the feature that you can set the target, and it shows you the visual thing. As you can set the number of the stitches you want to complete. So today I'm at 148, roughly about 2 hours including talking, and so I'm pretty pleased with that, and it's a little bit of progression today. So thank you for joining me, Nikki especially, and whoever, if you're watching the playback, I hope you enjoy this session, and I hope to come back. I'm looking to do live stream stitching very soon, as frequently as I can, because you know, it's just a lot easier than recording, which is a lot fiddly, and this is spontaneous. I get to talk to you as well. So have a great day, Nikki, to you as well, and I hope to see you soon. Chat later. Bye.